Hello, welcome to the CEO dg&la YouTube channel.
In this video, we'll be talking about some of the Greek and Latin roots. So this is highly helpful for exams like CAT, XAT, IIFT, IRMA, CET, MAT, UPMCAT, and all academic and competitive exams. So here is some overview of what all roots we'll be looking into. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's begin our video with some Greek roots first. The next root is chron. Chron means or denotes time. So whenever we want to denote something in terms of time, we use the Greek root chron. Some of the words derived from this Greek root are chronology. Chronology is the arrangement of events in order of occurrence, which means the order of the occurrence of events in terms of the time series. So that is, we call it as chronology. The next one is chronicle. Chronicle is simply the historical record. So we have the Deccan Chronicle, which means the historical record of the Deccan area. So chronicle is historical record. And the next one is chronograph. Chronograph is a stopwatch that records time with great accuracy. So graph is something we use to denote or something that is drawn in a specified way. So in terms of that, it is chronograph, which means a stopwatch that records time. The watch or the thing that records the time is called the chronograph. The next one is chronic. Chronic is something that lasts for a longer time, which means in terms of illness. So chronic is a kind of a thing that continues over an extended period of time. So it is much of a problem or specifically illness. Such type of things we can call it as chronic, and one common example is cold. So cold is the chronic obstructive lung disease, so which we commonly call it as cold. So it is also one of the examples for chronic. The next one is chronometer. So it is nothing but simply a timepiece. Chronometer can be used like a device for measuring time, or a watch, or as a clock. Any kind of such piece we call it as a chronometer. And the next one is asynchronous. So something for which the occurrence of two or more processes at different times happen. So which is not in sync. That is simply asynchronous. So this is also one of the words that came from chron root. So we are using the chron in asynchronous. So this is also an example of the chron root, which is of Greek and basically defines time. Coming root is logy, which means, as I discussed earlier, it is study of. So study of anything, the word ends with logy, or more commonly ology. So here are some examples. We commonly see anthropology, study of human race, because anthropos, it is mankind. So anthropology gives study of human race. The next one is biology. So bio means life. Study of living things is called biology. Astrology. So as we learned earlier, astro means star. So anything that's related to sun, moon and other planets, we call it as astrology. The next one is archaeology. Archeo denotes something related to buildings, graves, or anything that is taken from the past, mostly of the remains or the dead remains. Those can also come under archaeology. So study of all those buildings, graves from the past is called archaeology. The next one is climatology. As we can understand directly from the word, climate related to weather. Weather is more commonly said as for a shorter period of time. So climatology is related to the weather conditions. So study of general weather conditions is called climatology. The next one is psychology. Psych, as we know, is related to the human mind and behavior. So study of the minds of human and its behavior, we call it as psychology. The next one is graphology. Graph is nothing but handwriting, something written by hand. Or more commonly, the study of handwriting, we call it as, in particular, graphology. The next one is gerontology. Gerontology is related to problems of the elderly, the branch of science that deals with the problems of aged people. All that comes under, like it covers social, psychological, biological, all such aspects of aging come under gerontology. So it is study of problems of the elderly. The next one is macro or mega. So both are same. We call it as large or big in common. Anything related to large or something huge, big, humongous, everything we say it as macro or mega. Some of the words are macroscopic. So that is visible to the naked eye, which we are able to see clearly with just our naked eyes. So such type of vision is called macroscopic. Macro, large or big. And the next one is megalith, is a huge stone. So lith comes from another root word that is mostly related to rocks, stones, like we have the lithosphere. So it is related to the word, the Greek root lith. So megalith means a huge stone. We call it as megalith. Next one, megastar, which is very great, and I can give you an instance of this. Like in Tollywood, we call megastar Chiranjeevi Garu. So it is also something that is immensely huge or impactful, very great. So something that is huge, we call it as megastar. So here, star is not literal meaning of star. Star here means something of greatness. So megastar gives very great. The next one is megahertz. In the International System of Units, the derived unit of frequency, we call it as hertz. We denote it as Hz as a symbol of hertz. So megahertz gives 1 million hertz. So that is megahertz. The next one is megaphone. Phone, as we know, an instrument that is used to amplify voice. Like in proper terms, it's a mouthpiece or just a promoter that is used to amplify a person's natural voice, like towards a targeted direction. So such type of instruments, we call it as a megaphone. The next one is megalopolis. Megalopolis means something that is very large and heavily populated city or urban complex. So more commonly we can say it as a mega city, which means that a large conurbation where two or more large cities have sprawled outward to meet, forming something even more larger than a metropolis, which is nothing but a megacity or megalopolis. The next root we are going to see is meter. So meter, we use it to scale the distance or length. That is, we usually say it as meter. So in more common terms, like from the Greek root meaning, that is measure. So meter means measure. So some of the common terms, these are the devices we use to measure different type of things. First one is ammeter, used to measure current. Voltmeter, as we can say directly from the word itself, measures voltage. Next is altimeter. Altimeter, which means altitude, measures altitude. Next one is pedometer, used to measure distance covered by walking, which means it counts the number of steps taken and thus estimates the distance walked. That is pedometer. And the next one is meteorology, which is the study of Earth's atmosphere. So we have the other root also, the logy, which means study, and meteor, more in terms of like meter. So it measures Earth's atmosphere. Meteorology is the scientific study of Earth's atmosphere. The science that deals with the study of the atmosphere, its phenomena, especially the weather and its forecasting. All those comes under meteorology. The next root is micro. So as we have seen, macro, which means large, the opposite one, micro, which means small. So general and common terms, microbe. Microbe means small, a tiny organism. Microbes, microorganisms, all those are just tiny living things. The next one is microcosm, which is miniature representation of something. We might have seen the miniature creations, the art. So all those come under the microcosm. It could be a small artificial representation of the universe or something related to human body, a person, could be anything. So all those come under microcosm. The next one is microfilm. Microfilm. So micro is small and film comes to like recording of documents or any kind of films. The miniature record of documents of film comes under microfilm. The fourth one is microlight. So light here means something that is light in weight or lightweight. Very small light aircraft with large wings. Should be light aircraft and it has large wings. Such type of combination of aircrafts, we call it as microlight. The next root here we have is neo. Neo means new. So anything that is new in terms of Greek root, we call it as neo. So some words related to that are neophyte, someone who is beginner or a recent convert, we call them as neophyte. So neo means new, but phyte usually or basically denotes a plant or something a plant-like organism. But here neophyte can be used in other aspects like a person who is new to a subject, a skill or belief, or a novice. So it could be in terms of those also, or someone who is related to that, we can call them as neophyte. The next one is neologism. So any new word or meaning that is newly coined, such type of invention or coining of new words, we call it as neologism. The next one is neonate. Neonate is a newborn child or simply a newborn infant, recently born baby, we call them as neonate.
Dhanyavad. Thank you. If you like this video, do like, subscribe and share. See you in the next one. Bye bye.